Okay, let's dive in. Think about this. Having a real handle on your emotions. Not burying them, but truly understanding and guiding them that puts you in the driver's seat in your own life.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's about dialing down that feeling of being constantly, swamped by stress and anxiety.
And what's key to grasp, I think, is the transformative power of this shift.
Mm.
When you move from being sort of at the mercy of your emotional states to actively managing them, well, the benefits extend everywhere.
Everywhere. Like,
We're talking about richer connections with people, navigating your professional life with greater skill, and ultimately just boosting your overall well-being.
right.
By emotional mastery, we really mean the ability to understand and manage your own emotions and also, recognize and maybe influence the emotions of others around you.
Exactly. And that's precisely what we're exploring in this deep dive. Our goal is to arm you, the listener, with practical techniques, things you can actually use.
Hmm.
So you can stay grounded and, well, in control, even when things get intense.
And if we zoom out for a second, just think about how often we see people reacting impulsively.
Mm.
Maybe you've noticed it. I certainly have those times when an immediate emotional response leads to outcomes we later regret.
Oh, definitely. That feeling of being on an unwanted roller coaster,
Hmm.
it's familiar to a lot of people, I bet.
It really is. And to illustrate how things can change, let's look at the real story of Sierra we came across.
Yes, Sierra. She was, what, 28, working in sales, and she described herself as someone who reacted strongly to things.
Yeah, a strong reactor.
Think workplace disagreements, that kind of knot of anxiety in relationships, even worries keeping her up at night, sounds like.
Oh.
Well, a lot of us can relate on some level, right?
It does. And what's particularly illuminating about Sierra's experience is that she pinpointed a clear turning point, a specific moment.
Ah, okay.
She recounted this high-stakes work confrontation, the kind of situation where her usual approach, her MO, would have been to get defensive or visibly upset.
Right, the default reaction kicks in.
But in this crucial moment, she made a conscious choice, something different.
Okay, tell us more about that. What did she actually do differently?
She decided to pause. Simple as that. She took a deliberate breath, and instead of immediately reacting, she responded with thought and composure.
Just paused. It sounds small.
It might seem like a small thing, but the impact was significant. And interestingly, research suggests this brief delay actually lets the prefrontal cortex, that's your reasoning brain part, engage.
Ah, gives it a chance to catch up before the emotional part takes over.
Exactly. It can potentially override the more impulsive emotional response driven by the amygdala.
Okay, so here's where it gets really interesting. Because that single instance, that intentional choice not to react, it actually set off a kind of chain reaction for her.
Yeah.
Positive changes.
Precisely. Her leadership recognized her increased emotional maturity. They were apparently really impressed by her ability to stay calm under pressure.
Wow, okay.
And what's more, her colleagues, the very people who might have previously triggered those emotional responses, they started interacting with her differently, more respectfully.
So it wasn't just how she felt, it changed how others treated her too.
And the positive effects weren't just at work. Her personal relationships also saw noticeable improvements. Things got better there too.
So what's the core message here for you listening? The big takeaway from Sierra's story, and it's a powerful one,
It really is.
is that emotional mastery isn't about denying your feelings. It's not about suppression.
Not at all.
It's about consciously choosing how you respond to those feelings, opting for calm instead of, well, chaos.
Yeah. Sierra's experience really highlights the power of that conscious emotional control.
Now, the good news is this isn't some innate talent only some people have, right?
Yeah.
There's actually a structured way we can all develop this.
Mm.
There is. Let's dive into the 5-step blueprint we found.
With this blueprint, it provides a tangible path, something concrete. It moves beyond just abstract ideas into actual actions you can take.
Okay, let's break down this framework. It's a 5-step process. The first one, as we've kind of already touched on with Sierra, is to pause before responding.
The 5-second rule, often called that.
Right, the 5-second rule.
And a key aspect to consider is the impact even that short delay can have. Those 5 seconds create a vital gap
A gap between...
between the emotional trigger and your reaction. It just gives you enough space, really, to select a more thoughtful response rather than just blurting something out.
Okay, makes sense. Step number 2 is all about naming your emotions clearly. It might sound almost too simple, but there seems to be genuine power in being specific.
Yeah, specific about what you're feeling, whether it's anger, anxiety, frustration.
Just putting a word to it.
Precisely. When you can pinpoint and label the emotion, it actually seems to lessen its intensity. It's like bringing clarity to something that felt maybe overwhelming and undefined before.
Huh.
It becomes more concrete, and because of that, more manageable. There's even brain scan research suggesting that just labeling a feeling can measurably reduce its intensity.
Interesting. Okay, step 3 is to shift your physical state.
Hmm.
This one really resonates because it's so actionable, so physical. We're talking about things like taking several deep breaths, maybe adjusting your posture, standing up taller perhaps, or even just going for a quick walk.
This is about intentionally disrupting the physical side of the emotion.
Mm.
Our bodies and minds are so deeply connected, partly through the vagus nerve, actually.
Ah,
So by changing your physical state, you can interrupt that emotional pattern that's starting to take hold. You break the cycle physically.
Number 4 is to reframe the situation positively. Now, this isn't about ignoring reality or pretending everything is rosy, is it?
No, definitely not.
Because the sources you shared also mentioned the risk of toxic positivity. How do we make sure we're reframing constructively without just dismissing genuine negative feelings?
That's a really crucial distinction. It's not denial. It's about consciously choosing to evaluate the trigger more objectively, kind of step back from it.
Okay.
By asking yourself those key questions like, will this even matter a year from now? That's a big one.
Right.
Or can I identify any value or learning in this situation, even if it's difficult? It helps gain perspective.
Got it. Perspective. And finally, step 5. Practice daily mindfulness. This involves dedicating just say 5 to 10 minutes each day
Yeah, doesn't have to be long.
to activities like meditation, maybe journaling, or even just quiet reflection, building
Yeah.
that emotional resilience muscle over time.
And thinking about the broader implications here, consistent mindfulness practice really enhances your awareness of your own internal emotional landscape.
Yeah.
You start to recognize your triggers.
See them coming.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And your typical reactions, you see those more clearly too, which in turn gives you more opportunities to apply those earlier steps, the pause, the naming, the reframing.
So just to be crystal clear, the aim here isn't to become some kind of emotionless robot.
Definitely not.
It's about taking control, managing those feelings intentionally so they work for you rather than against you.
Exactly. That's the goal. And to really solidify how this works in the real world, we have some concise examples, some real-life stories of emotional mastery in action.
Good. Let's hear them. First, let's look at conflict at work. We have the story of Elena. She faced criticism from a colleague.
A tough situation.
Yeah, and instead of reacting defensively, which many of us might do, she calmly acknowledged what was said, responded clearly, and actually ended up earning her team's respect because of it. That's a powerful outcome.
It really is. And Elena's controlled response likely de-escalated the whole situation.
Right.
It probably fostered a more productive dialogue instead of an argument.
Good point.
It just illustrates that emotional control can genuinely lead to stronger professional relationships.
Okay, then there's Brianna, who focused on dating and relationships. She made a conscious effort to use that 5-second pause during disagreements.
The pause again.
Yeah. And apparently, it made a significant difference in preventing those impulsive emotional outbursts, resulting in much better communication overall. I think many of us can see the value in that.
Absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
those brief seconds can literally be the difference between saying something you immediately regret and responding in a way that actually helps resolve the conflict. It's huge.
It really is. And lastly, we have Leah, who was dealing with anxiety and stress. What did she do?
She incorporated daily journaling and meditation into her routine.
The mindfulness piece.
Exactly. And it significantly reduced her feelings of emotional overwhelm over time. This really highlights the long-term benefits of those consistent mindfulness practices.
Right, so it builds up.
Yeah, if we connect this back to the blueprint, Leah's experience demonstrates how consistently applying even small mindfulness techniques can build substantial emotional resilience. It compounds.
So, okay, this isn't just theory, right? These examples show real people are using these techniques and seeing tangible results in their lives.
Real changes.
And now we're going to issue a practical challenge for you, the listener, what we're calling the Emotional Control Challenge Week.
Yeah, this is an opportunity to move these concepts from just understanding them
Intellectual.
to actually experiencing them. It's a way to actively engage with material and see how it can work for you personally.
Okay, challenge accepted. First part, actively use that 5-second pause.
You just try it.
Throughout the week, make a conscious effort. When you feel that emotional trigger, count to 5 before reacting. It might feel a bit awkward or unnatural at first, maybe.
Probably will. But stick with it. What's important here is the intentional effort. even if you don't always succeed in pausing perfectly every time. The very act of trying will increase your awareness of your own reactions. That's a win in itself.
Okay, good point. The second step is daily emotion journaling. Just take a few minutes each evening, reflect.
Reflect on how you handled any emotional triggers that came up during the day. Ask yourself, what did I handle well? What could I perhaps have approached differently next time?
So a quick debrief with yourself.
Exactly. It's such a valuable tool for self-reflection. By writing down your experiences, even briefly, you start to identify patterns in your emotional responses and pinpoint your key triggers more clearly.
Makes sense. And the third part of the challenge is to incorporate one physical reset each day.
Just one.
Could be those deep breaths we talked about, a short walk around the block, maybe some stretching at your desk, anything that helps you to physically interrupt that feeling of stress or emotional overwhelm when it hits.
Think of this as like a quick reboot for your emotional state, a tool to help you regain a sense of calm when you feel overwhelmed or stressed out.
I like that, a reboot. So ultimately, this challenge really underscores the idea that taking control of your emotions isn't about being less human or suppressing things.
Not at all.
It's about empowering yourself, giving yourself more agency.
Precisely. And speaking of common experiences, maybe concerns people have, we actually received a question from a listener that touches on something really relatable.
Oh, great. Listener question.
Yeah, this one comes from Hannah in Denver. She asks, I'm naturally emotional. How can I become less reactive without suppressing who I am?
That's such a great and important question, Hannah. Thank you for sending that in. And I think many people wonder the exact same thing. How do I manage this without losing myself?
It's a very common feeling.
And the key insight here, I think, is that your emotions are actually a source of strength and information, not a weakness to be stamped out.
Yes, that's vital.
Emotional mastery isn't about shutting down your feelings. It's about skillfully managing them. And that pause we keep mentioning before responding, it's absolutely fundamental here.
It really is. Your emotions provide valuable data, clues about your internal state and the situations you're in. The goal isn't to silence that inner guidance system,
No.
but rather to prevent those emotions from hijacking your responses, from taking over completely.
You can feel deeply.
Yes, feel deeply, while still choosing to respond with calm and intention. You can have both.
Okay. Both feeling and composure. So as we wrap up this deep dive, remember this key takeaway. Your emotions don't have to dictate your life. They don't have to run the show. By developing the ability to master them, you truly gain greater command over your own world, your own experience.
And this emotional intelligence we've been talking about, it isn't just some nice-to-have trait. It's a significant personal asset, a real advantage.
How so?
Well, it equips you to navigate complex situations more effectively, build stronger interpersonal connections, and ultimately leverage your inner resilience wisely. You use what you have better.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And on that note, here's something to really think about as we finish. In what unexpected ways might consciously guiding your emotional responses?
Even in small moments.
Yeah, even in those seemingly insignificant moments. How might that not only reshape your immediate experiences, but also contribute over time to your long-term sense of self-efficacy,
Yeah.
your belief in your own ability, and maybe even your impact on the world around you?
It's a fascinating question to explore further. How those small shifts ripple outwards.